Hi, everyone. This is Steph The Educator, and I am back with another topic and episode. Thank you for tuning in to Essential Pedagogy. And I just want to let y'all know that it's been a lot going on. I've been hearing a lot has been going on in the schools, but today I want to take the time to talk about state testing. I live in the state of Texas, and so our state testing is called STAR testing, and it's a season, not a day or two or week. So I want to talk about that today. But before I get into the topic, I want to just tell you how I became, a podcaster, and tell you a little, just remind you a little bit about myself. I have been in education for 20 years. This year will make 20 years. I cannot believe it. I have been teaching science in middle school for that long. I also have a tutoring business called Time and Attention Tutoring, and I tutor children in the summertime, during the school year, and just help them develop into people that can think for themselves. That's basically what I want everyone to do, is be able to think and to act for themselves, and be responsible adults. That's what we want. We want responsible, socially responsible, financially responsible, just responsible adults all the way around. So I started thinking more about education and how people do not understand basic things about our public education system during the pandemic. And I started offering the services of interpreting words, especially during art meetings that were virtual, and becoming an advocate for students. So that's one of the things that I did, and I continue to do and support people. I realize education is big. And people who did not major in education or go to school or understand in the industry of education, you may not know how things are done. And so that will give you a warped view of school. And I felt like what was needed is that compassion on both sides was needed to build understanding of and appreciation for the profession. I think the profession is losing its respectability. Uh, there are a lot of things that people have a mindset of thinking as far as teachers. And I feel like we are double-minded when it comes to educators, as we are in most of our life. We are so double-minded. We say on one side we respect teachers, and oh my gosh, we couldn't do what you do, and oh my gosh, what you do every day. But you really don't know what we do every day. Most people are just talking, or they got a little glimpse of what we do every day with their own children during the pandemic. And then they had this um, admiration that they developed for educators. But let me tell you, we are much more than how people treat us. We are much more than what people vote for our salaries for. We're much more than that. And I don't believe everybody really understood. We help develop humans for our future. We are a second mother, second father, second uncle, third, fourth uncle, aunts. We tackle everyday topics with our children just in the passing of good morning, how are you? Or oh my gosh, you wore this bonnet out here to this fire. We had a fire, like a fire, not a fire alarm. Oh, can I think of the name? Um, a fire drill. We had a fire drill. We had to evacuate the building, and little girl had her bonnet on, and I was like, "Darling, don't do that. Do not do that." Now, I have this debate with my own son because he owns a do rag, and I told him absolutely not. You will not be out in public with me with this do rag on. And I said it's the same thing as a bonnet, and I feel like that is a nighttime routine, and a lot of people do things at night that they would not do in public. A lot of people do things for their nighttime routine that they would not do in public, and one of those things is put a bonnet on your head, and that is a black girl thing. But I digress. Um, we want to talk about STAR testing and how um, teachers do so much more than what people think. So let's just go through a typical STAR testing season. So every year, there's something that changes about the test. There's new rules and regulations, law that is written in regards to state testing. New laws every year. Therefore, we have to go to a development session, a professional development session, to go over our new laws and rules and some of the developments that have happened over previous testing years. So, I've been doing this for about 20 years, and I was around before phones was a big deal for children to have every day with them. I remember when the phones were a big deal. Then it became we have watches and phones. Now we have situations where we take the test online. Some people don't like it, some people do. This is our future. Oh, yeah. Okay. Yes, we'll talk about that, about what substitutes face. Okay. So, we have to go through professional development with STAR testing and whatever state testing because there's new developments from year to year. This year, um, we had to reacquaint the students with the test because there's a new way of testing. So, in previous years, there was a separate writing test in fourth grade and in seventh grade. And again, I'm talking about Texas. I'm not talking about any other state because this is where I'm living. Now our tests have writing components in every subject area that is tested. So if your child is taking a science test um, sometime, they only test science in certain years, not every year. Your child is going to be tested every year in reading and math, starting from third grade. But along with that, now they have integrated writing instead of it being a separate test and judged separately, it is tested within the subject areas. So, which I think is a great development. I agree with it wholeheartedly because if you can write about your subject matter, you really know about your subject matter. Instead of writing 1 plus 1 and then a 2 at the bottom, you can write it out in words and explain it to someone and how you come up with 2. I feel like you know the information for sure. So that's one of the developments. So with those developments, you have other tools that are introduced in the testing, where they can highlight, where they can have reading guides. Oh my gosh, so many wonderful tools with taking the test online. Plus, guys, I don't know how the STAR test is going to be digitally online, but when we test students online, the questions literally come alive and jump off the page at them. If they're talking about um, a mouse, they may have an actual video of a mouse doing its activity. If there is something that talks about simple machines and pulleys, they could actually see the pulley in action. So I love the way testing is digital now. That's the way we do our local testing. Not sure how STAR is going to look as far as those kind of interactive videos, but I can imagine it will be very developed that way. In years past, Star, when we started implementing Star um, digitally and online, there were lots of, oh my gosh, everything shut down. Everybody's taking STAR at the same time. And so now there's testing seasons. So our friends in McKinney, they already took a STAR test this week, where my friends in Carrollton Farmers Branch ISD, they will take their reading test in middle school next week on Tuesday, where McKinney took theirs this week, then Carrollton Farmers Branch. So there's a season that the districts could opt in and adopt for their testing day. And so everyone's not going to take the same test on the same day and then there you have it. We're done. That's not how it's going to go. There's lots of people in Texas. So I think that was very clever and on point for what the magnitude of testing that has to occur and getting the scores out and everything. Okay, so lots of tools that the students can use: highlighting, uh, reading guides, colored reading guides too. Also, they can change the backgrounds to be a little easier on their eyes. They can, if they have accommodations, their accommodations are integrated into their test, which is great. They also have reference materials also that's integrated as well. Lots of parents don't know this. Lots of parents had concerns, including a parent of a child that I tutor. She was really concerned because she's really been working with her son on highlighting keywords and things like that. And so, and she's like underlining, and I was like, well, he has a highlighting tool. Yeah. They also have uh, tools where the kids can flag the question that they are not so sure about, and we teach them. We have trainings, or I don't like to say trainings. We have development sessions with the students where we teach them how to use the tools. And we teach them how to use the tools. I'll get to that in a second. And we teach them where to find the tools so that when it becomes testing day, they're not flustered. They know exactly where all the tools are. They even have practice using those exact tools. And so we've given them time during the school day to get acquainted with them so that they can do the very best that they can do on test day. Now, I love testing. I really do. It is stressful, but I love the state testing time because all the hard work that we have done during the school year gets to be seen, right? And we have great hope. We have just so much just desire to see all of our hard work and sweat and tears come to life, right before our eyes, or like when the scores come out, it's a big deal for teachers. I mean, such a big deal, especially middle school, that teachers do not, we try to not step on other instructors' toes, even though we may get a report where we see other grade levels and other um, test results, and we may see the student before um, their language arts teacher. And so, but we are very respectful to the teacher to make sure that they're able to communicate scoring to their children when the time comes. We are just, that time is such a special time and bonding time with the child, especially if they struggled and you've worked so hard and they've worked so hard to get them where they are and to be more successful. Numbers aren't always where we want them to be, but that doesn't negate how hard a person works to get there. So even if we don't make the mark about being advanced, if we have made progress, we have to look at that and celebrate that as well. So let's talk about what kind of scores and what you're looking at when we talk about STAR testing. So there is a, you meet expectation, you also exceed and do advance. You also have approaching, and we did not used to have approaching as a category years ago, but it has become a category. And approaching is considered passing, um, but it does not mean grade level. Okay. Does not mean that you're on track to be grade level. It means that you're approaching it, but that doesn't mean that you're at grade level. Let's just say that you are approaching, but that does not mean that you are where most of your peers are. So I don't want you to have an overly negative attitude about it, but I don't want you to also feel like that, okay, my kid needs nothing extra. That is not the case. If your child is earning an approach on STAR, they definitely need some enrichment and tutoring. It is not always going to happen during the school year, because then we're talking about the failing students and the ones that were way below, right? That is what is pulling at your during the year, during the school day type of thing. If your child is at approaching, certainly your educator is working hard to get them where they need to be. But it, as far as pulling extra resources, may not happen without you as a parent, you know, putting in effort, trying to go the extra mile, and not putting the burden of going the extra mile on an already stressed and underfunded and understaffed school system. So, things that I think that you guys need to make sure that happens prior to test day, prior to testing season, actually, is to make sure your child gets enough water. Water is needed for your brain to function. Great breakfast, a breakfast that's not filled with sugar, preferably some type of protein. I'm not, if you're not a meat eater, that's fine. There are other meat alternatives that have protein. You can choose those things. But having a nutritious breakfast and having water in your system prior to testing, days prior to testing, is going to help your child perform better. What people don't understand is that the school becomes somewhat on a lockdown on testing day, and the child has to have stamina in order to do well on the test. It's much longer than just a unit test or a typical test that they may take for a certain class. So they have to have the stamina. They have to have a great breakfast and have a clear mind. First thing, first thing. In order to have a clear mind and not be foggy brain, a student must get lots of rest. Get those children to bed 8 o'clock. I know that's old fogey. I know you probably got to go to Walmart. You may have to forgo Walmart. If check the calendar and see when your child is going to be testing so that you make sure that you don't drag them to Walmart, Target, wherever you're dragging them, Kroger, so that they can get in bed at a decent time to take their baths or showers, charge up their Chromebooks or iPads or whatever device they're using to test on. Make sure that you have a very organized household for this testing season so that your child does not start the day frazzled. Oh my gosh, the dog was this and that, and then I couldn't find my shoe, and have everything together so that your child can do the best that they can, and we're not starting the day under chaotic circumstances. Okay, so that's how you can help. That's how you can make sure your child has the best foundation that they can have in order to do the very best that they can on STAR tests. Now, let's talk about tutoring. I got a tutoring company. So I just love helping students do their best, especially if their parents are on board to pull out the best out of their child. And what I say about that is I got to have parents on board to sometimes make their child uncomfortable. The learning process is sometimes uncomfortable. It really is. In fact, not sometimes, all the time. All the time it's uncomfortable. When you bump your knee on the edge of your bed, you learn to walk around that corner differently or take care to pay attention. Like I say to the kids all the time, paying attention is free. Paying attention is free. Not all the things that you have to pay will be, but paying attention will be free, especially in the school setting, public school setting, anyway. So, anyhow, I love it when parents are on board with getting their kids to do what they need to do, when they need to do it, how they need to do it. And sometimes it's not going to make them happy, happy, joy, joy. I know we've had great memories of learning things on Sesame Street, and we did not cry watching Sesame Street. We did not. But I tell you, I do remember crying sometimes because I could not get my sentences right. I could not get, when I was little, get my math right. But I'm telling you, putting in the work and persevering past that builds character, and it builds a sense of confidence that no one can take from a child. So we have to push them a little further than you think or even they think they can do. And it's going to be uncomfortable, but I promise you they will survive. I'm always here to help and not harm. Okay. Always here to help and not hurt. Because, you know, sometimes you feel uncomfortable, but you will not be hurt for the long term. You will grow from it. And I'm so happy that there's so many things. People get so uptight about STAR and things like that, about state testing. No reason to. Do the best you can and keep moving. That's what we do in education, is we keep putting one foot in front of the other, and we keep progressing. That's what we do in education. Now, I want to walk you through what we do We get up extra early on those days. We get our Wheaties. We get our protein in. We, as educators, we get our sleep. We have to have stamina because we have to walk around and monitor the students and what they do. We start our day, we pick up our testing materials, we count our testing materials because we have a certain amount of kids and a certain amount of, you know, materials that they needed. It used to be pencils and all that. I think we're going to still have pencils with scratch paper for some kids. So we have certain things that we have to do, and testing materials are um, a secure thing. So once we pick up our testing materials, guys, we cannot lay them down in the teacher's lounge or anything. Those testing materials stay with you all day because we do not want any irregularities. We do not want anything to compromise the testing of the students. We do not want any of that to happen. We don't want any mistakes to happen. We want everything to go as smoothly as possible. And so we have to be on our P's and Q's, and we have to be alert, and we have to follow guidelines and law. We sign oaths every year when we are testing, every year. So certain teachers are monitors and relief people, and certain teachers are in that classroom testing all day. If your child has all day, and I think this year they just have all day to take the test, everyone does. If you have extended time, a little past the day, I'm not certain because I'm not an extended tester, but all day. So you have to have stamina. Make sure you pack your child a great lunch because I'm going to pack myself a great lunch. Make sure that if you don't pack your child a lunch and their child opts for a lunch at school, that your child knows this and they are familiar with the lunch offerings at school. Okay? Just make sure that everybody comes to school on those days with as good an attitude as possible. And I'm certain that we're going to have a great testing season. I'm so excited. I cannot wait to see how the state of Texas does, how we grow, and how my district grows, and how my personal students grow. I'm excited, and I hope you guys have a great STAR testing season. Thanks for watching Essential Pedagogy.